Hello everyone, we should be live. Welcome to the stream. It's been a while since I last did a live stream, so I'm happy to be back with the live stream on the channel. So what I want to discuss today are several things. Let me switch to the agenda. The first thing I want to talk about is the latest firmware update for the OBSBOT Talent, and I am streaming with the OBSBOT Talent. You'll see that in a minute. I'm going to talk about an issue I have with my GH6, and I got a GH7 that's filming me right now, and I have a new studio. So those are the things that I want to discuss in this live stream. It's also the last live stream of the year and the last video of the year. So I thought it was a good opportunity to do it live. If you have any questions, put them in the chat and I'll try to answer them. So let's start with my setup for this stream. I am streaming with the OBSBOT Talent. Main camera is the GH6 going into the OBSBOT Talent via HDMI. I have an overhead camera, which is my GH6, and this is, let's say, a very extensive setup due to the issues I'm having with the GH6. Then we've got some OBSBOT tail airs. I'll talk about all this in a second. This is also an OBSBOT tail air revealing my studio, and another tail air revealing me from a different angle. Audio is going via the Rode PodMic into my DLZ creator, over here, into the OBSBOT Talent. And I've set a 100 millisecond delay on the DLZ creator to get lip sync with the video. Right, updates. So the OBSBOT Talent has gotten several updates now, and the most recent one is version 3. In the thumbnail it says 3.0, but it's 3 point something X. And there are several additions, and I want to highlight some of them. First of which is they have added preset scenes, and I'm going to show you that. By the way, is the audio all right? Could you let me know? I forgot to ask at the start. If you could let me know if you can hear me all right, that'd be great. So let's go to the scenes. I've got several scenes set up for this stream, obviously. But if I now add a scene, we can now add a multi-view as a scene. And we have several layouts to choose from. So let's say I pick this one and I add my main camera, and let's say I have someone else on the stream, which will happen in the new year. I've got some a very interesting guest that I'm planning on having on the live stream. But now let's add the, hit 2 and then add the other source, continue. And now we have this as a scene, and we can put a frame on it or whatever, all the stuff that was already there. We can adjust the audio levels. And if we go to advanced, we can also give it a label, flip it horizontally and vertically. And we can add transitions, chroma key, PTZ control if it's a compatible camera. That was already there for scenes already. But yeah, we can now add multi-view. So let's switch to that scene. There is a limit to this. to the multi-view because you can only add up to 3 video sources. So if we go back into the edit menu and adjust the layout, or maybe let's make a new one. So add a scene, multi-view, and then let's say we pick the layout with 4 boxes. Then we can add HDMI 1 into 1, HDMI 2 into 2, and then another video source in 3. And then if we try to add another video source in 4, it says you can only add up to 3 sources with video signal. So keep that in mind. It's limited to 3 video sources. But it's nice that we can add a multi-view as a scene. And there's obviously the other ones that were already there, and a custom one where you can just organize your own scene and add sources. So that's kind of a minor one. The next one has to do with GFX. So we have the GFX menu right here. And this all looks the same as before, but if we hit the plus, we have a custom one. But what it's mostly about is that we can add, let's get the OBSBOT logo, for example. We have more transition types. There were already some transitions, but we've got more transitions now, which is great if you use that for animations, for things like logos. So let's just pick one, expand, and then the out animation. So if I now hit this animation, we've got, oh, that's because it's shooting there. Right, let's pick a different scene so that we don't have the infinite OBSBOT logo there, like that. And then we have that animation. What else did we have there? No, there was something else. Oh, right. It's, let me go back to the GFX. Let's take my logo. We can now time the animation, so, or auto clear, basically. So let's say I have my own logo and I want it to disappear after 10 seconds. I can now do that. I can set it to any duration I would like. So if I now use that graphic, I just start the graphic, and then after 10 seconds, it will disappear without me having to do anything, which is great. It's a great addition. Very, very useful. 1 second. Second screen. Second screen needs to be turned 180 degrees. Is it upside down? It's not in my preview. Let me wait for 1 second so I can see my own live stream on my phone to check whether it's upside down or not. It doesn't look upside down on my live stream. 180 degrees. Is it mirrored? No, it's not mirrored either. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by second screen needs to be turned 180 degrees. Maybe you can let me know. Right. Back to the GFX. What was I talking about? Right. The GFX. Let's go back to my logo. Edit. No, I needed to go to the timer actually, because it's got sound effects, which I'm not gonna let you listen to because I'm not sure what the volume is gonna be. Well, I suppose I could do it and adjust it while doing it. But you may have noticed this timer at the start screen of this live stream. I didn't put any sound effects on it, but I could, like the tick-tock. So let's try that. I'm gonna put that on now. If it's really loud, I'm gonna try and lower that as quickly as possible. Oh, it is really loud. Sorry. Sorry for the loud tick-tock. But anyway, you can do that and adjust the volume, obviously. It's nice that it's there. I'm probably not really going to use it, but if you need to, it's there, which is nice. Next one. Yes, that has to do with the encode menu. I'll switch to the overhead again. Oh, when you showed us two screens first had right position, but the second upside down. Okay, right. Let's quickly go back to that double screen. Do I still have it as a scene? Oh, right. Yeah, I see what you mean. Well, we can do that. Let me go to this one. Yeah, hit vertical mirroring and it's done. Now it's the right way up. Thanks for pointing that out. I hadn't noticed. Okay, where was I? The menu, the encode menu, which is in settings. We can go to encode. I'm gonna pick encode 2 because I'm currently using encode 1. We can hit add, and now as a video source, we can also select multi-view as the source for the encoder, which is great. And for audio source, selecting audio source. Yeah, I stumbled over my words. Audio source. We can now choose the audio source for the encoder, which is great. So let's say you use encode 2 for recording to the device, so not the streaming, but the recording on device. You can select a different audio source, or you can select that you want to record the multi-view, or you want to stream to YouTube, for example, and use encoder 2 to send out an NDI stream simultaneously to, say, another encoder or another platform. You can choose to send a multi-view and a different or separate audio source to it, which is great, gives it more flexibility. The next one is honestly one that I haven't found in the system yet. And I've talked to OBSBOT about it, but it's holiday time and it's very difficult to speak to people currently. So I'm hoping to figure that out the beginning of next year. It's about scheduling a stream on the device. Currently, you can't schedule a live stream. You have to do that like within YouTube Studio, excuse me, or whatever platform, but you can't do it on device. And with this firmware update, you should be able to do it, but I couldn't find it, that option. So, yeah, I'm hoping to let you know about that later. Then there is support for USB tethering to a mobile phone to use your mobile internet from your phone with a wired connection to the Talent, so it can use its internet. There was already the option to connect to your phone's hotspot, but that's obviously wireless, and now you can do it tethered, so that's great. Flexibility. Then there is a screen color correction option, and let's switch to the overhead again. If we go into the menu and go to display, there is now the colors menu where you can choose custom, and here you can adjust the red, green and blue channel, which is great. It's a great addition, but what I would have liked to see is adjustments that you can make adjustments to contrast and saturation, because currently, in my opinion, this screen, now let's switch to the overhead. The screen is a bit too saturated, in my opinion. Oh, it's a bit hard to see from the with the camera. Not sure how I can show that. I can't really. Should have thought about that. Anyway, in my opinion, it's a bit too saturated currently. So I hope that they will add that possibility in a future firmware update, that we can adjust saturation and possibly contrast. And the last addition that I want to highlight is that we can now add keyboard shortcuts on device. Previously, you had to do that via the web interface, which is, it's a great web interface, by the way. It works great, and it's easy to adjust things on the Talent via the web interface. It updates very quickly as well. You can also upload media through the web interface, which is great. But sometimes it would be nice if you could adjust or add keyboard shortcuts on the device itself. Well, now we can. So I'm going to switch to the Talent again and go into settings. And now we have the addition of the shortcuts menu. And here, this just works the same as in the web interface. You give it a name, you add a function or multiple functions. You can let it perform multiple actions with just one button, and then you find a key for it, and that's it. So that's great that it's now on device. The device is getting more and more standalone. It was already pretty self-contained, but for some things you still needed to use the web interface, like the shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts. So it's great to see that on device. That's basically it for the Talent. I really enjoy streaming with the OBSBOT Talent. I think it's a great device. I'm also recording on it right now, simultaneously. and it works great. In a different video, I'll link to that up here or in the description, up here after the fact. I talked about using a cheap numeric keyboard as a switcher, and that works fantastically well, I have to say. It's very nice, very responsive. The Talent is very responsive. It just works great. Okay, on to the next one. Let me switch to the agenda again. Oh, completely forgot to put this one on screen. Right, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. Next one, my GH6. Right, I've got quite the setup currently. So I'll show you where my GH6 is. It's my overhead camera, and I'll adjust the tail air here. There it is, my GH6. But I have an issue, which is that the HDMI port doesn't put out a video feed anymore. It just, I was using it the other night on a tripod in my studio. When I was done filming, I turned it off, went to bed, woke up the next morning, turned on the camera, no HDMI video feed anymore. Nothing happened in the meantime. It just sat there on the tripod. No connections were taken out. Nothing happened, and it just stopped working. And obviously that happened with the camera just a few months out of warranty, obviously. But what I later found is that the data signal still works. So RAW, so I thought, should still work. Because RAW is not a video signal. RAW is a data signal. So I plugged in an HDMI cable to my Blackmagic Video Assist, and to my surprise, and switched the camera to RAW output. And to my surprise, I got a B-RAW signal on my Video Assist. So, and then I thought, okay, so that means that it should work with my Atomos Ninja V as well, since that can record in ProRes RAW from the GH6. So plugged it into the Atomos Ninja V, set it to ProRes RAW, no signal. So it's only doing B-RAW, which is kind of weird. But I wanted to use my GH6 for this live stream as an overhead camera, but I can obviously not send B-RAW into the OBSBOT Talent. So what I've done is, and I'll show you, my GH6 as a, oh, wrong camera, wrong scene. My GH6 is up there. That's going into my Blackmagic Video Assist right here via HDMI. So this is B-RAW, but the Video Assist has a problem. Well, not a problem. It just has, or doesn't have a feature that I think it should have, because it doesn't allow you to apply a LUT to the HDMI out, which is a problem because this is B-RAW, so it's very flat, and I do need it to be converted to Rec 709, right? So I need to apply a LUT, but the Video Assist can't do that. So what I've done is, from the HDMI out of the Video Assist, I have run it into the Atomos Ninja V that can actually apply a LUT during output. I'll show you. If you go to LUTs, then you can select during output right here, and then it applies the LUT. And then from the Ninja 5, it's going into the OBSBOT Talent via HDMI. So it's quite the extensive setup to get a video feed or a raw feed with a LUT applied to the OBSBOT Talent. But I'm very curious, if you have a GH6, have you experienced the same issue? I've also contacted several people that might know something about this, but haven't gotten a response yet. I'm very curious. Let me know in the chat or in the comments, or send me an email. So that's my GH6 issue, which I'll look at the chat for a second, see if I missed anything. No, okay. Not very busy in the chat. But this issue brings me to the GH7, which is filming this, the main camera. I just got the GH7 like 2 weeks ago, I think. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe. I think 3 weeks ago. And I wasn't really planning on getting one yet. I was thinking more like a beginning of next year somewhere. But then my GH6 broke, well, the HDMI port. And at around the same time, well, it was just before the Black Friday period. And then during Black Friday, I saw a very good deal on the GH7. Sorry. And then I thought, okay, I could wait and pay more, or I could not wait and get it now with a significant discount. So I got a GH6, and I have to say I've got sort of mixed feelings about it, because it's a very nice upgrade, I think, but it's also kind of boring because it's basically the same camera as the GH6. It looks the same, it feels the same, it works the same, except for several quality of life improvements, I'd say, like the obviously the phase detect autofocus that I'm using currently. It is in autofocus, not in face recognition mode though. I just have a box right here that it focuses on, because then I can like show you things if I want to. But this also shows you that it's incredibly responsive. It works really well. Like it's fantastic. But I did notice that it's significantly worse in low light. And maybe I can demonstrate that. Significantly less or worse in low light than DFD autofocus, contrast based, like the GH6. Let me turn off my key light and then see if it does what I sort of want it to do. Well, actually I don't want it to do, but for the stream I do. So key light off. Let's turn off the fill as well, and then I'll pop out of frame and then let it jump. Well, you can see it jumping already. It's probably not dark enough yet. Let's try again. Okay, it doesn't really do what I thought it would do. Because what I noticed is that if it's, well, in low light, it will very quickly get very confused, and eventually the whole screen turns into a big blur, basically. So it reverts to a very close focusing distance or whatever, something like that. Whereas my GH6, in my experience, does a lot better in low light in terms of autofocus, but then the autofocus is not as good and it's pulsing. So yeah, there's there is something to be said for both of them. But in general, the phase detect autofocus wins, obviously, because there's no pulsing and it's very responsive in good lighting conditions. And I'm very happy with it. I shot some footage for a short documentary. I can show you some of the footage. Got a scene set up for it. That was, I think, just a few days after I got the GH6. The first few shots are G9, the car shots. And I used a mix of autofocus and manual focus. I still like using manual focus a lot because I have a lot of control. And also did notice that sometimes when I was using autofocus, that it would jump to something that I didn't want to be in focus, which can be the issue with autofocus or using autofocus. That's why it's sometimes still better to use manual focus. But yeah, it does work really well, and it doesn't have the pulsing, which is great. That was, yeah, a major downside of the DFD autofocus. This was, by the way, with the Panasonic Leica 25-50 f1.7. All right. I'll talk a bit more about the GH7 in a second. Brett, hey man. Great to see you here. Yeah, first impressions of the GH6. It's fantastic, but also a bit boring because it's basically the same camera as the GH6. What did I say? GH7. First impressions. It's the same as the GH6, but quality and of life improvements. Of which another one I'd like to mention is that the info display stays on the LCD panel while putting it out to an external monitor, which is fantastic that they brought that back. And I don't understand why it's not possible on the GH6 and why they didn't fix that with a firmware update. But anyway, the GH7 has it again now. It's going to be hard to see noise on the stream anyway. Yeah, that's true. The autofocus is almost too good sometimes. Yeah, it goes so fast, it's really obviously when it misses. But yeah, no pulse. Yeah, true. It does go really fast. And I haven't played around with the settings yet, like the speed and the sensitivity. I haven't played around with that at all yet. Same goes for... Normally I set the parameters for the picture profile, like I dial down the sharpness a bit and stuff like that. I haven't done any of that yet. So it's I still have to dive deep into the GH7. What I do want to try eventually is the 32-bit float audio with the XLR2. I do find the XLR2 adapter kind of expensive, but I would like to get it to get the 32-bit float audio, especially for running like documentary stuff where I would have a shotgun, like my my Sennheiser MKE600 on camera. I can then run it via XLR into the XLR2 and record in 32-bit float so that I don't have to worry about levels. I don't have to look at them. I don't have to worry about them. But I still have to monitor the audio because, you know, there might be a broken connection or the microphone might be bumping onto something. You always have to monitor your audio, but I don't have to worry about levels. And if maybe you could hear it in the that footage that I just showed you. Which one is it? This one. Put it small. when the two guys hug each other, you can hear that the audio is clipping. I don't know if you heard that. Here, I'll make it a bit louder. You can hear that it's clipping. And that's something, you know, that's hard to anticipate on while you're shooting. Like it happens too suddenly to be able to adjust it quickly. And if I would have had 32-bit float on camera, in camera, then I would have been able to pull that back and it wouldn't sound distorted, which would have been great. So that's what I would want it for stuff like that. Right, what else did I have to say? Yeah, other improvements I still have to look into. I do want to try a live composite mode, because that's not on the GH6 or any other camera that I have. I have never used it, but I know you have, Rat. So I'd like to get into that as well, even though I'm not really a photographer. But live composite seems like a really cool thing. What I also haven't used yet, or even downloaded the app for, is real-time LUT. Like I haven't downloaded the Lumix, what's it called? Lumix Lab, right? Lumix Lab app, yeah. I also don't really have a use for real-time LUT yet. The only thing I can think of that it could be useful for, and I think you talked about that as well, Red, is to be able to shoot in a different log profile, basically. So let's say you have a second, or you're a second shooter to a shoot, and they shoot Sony in one of the Sony S-Log profiles. That, by the way, sound very confusing to me, all those different settings you have in Sony cameras with... Anyway, but you could make a conversion LUT with something like, I believe it's Cinematch, and you could convert Vlog into S-Log in camera while you're shooting. That could be very super useful, actually, because you can hand that footage off to whomever is going to edit it, and they have S-Log already then available to them. They don't have to do anything with it. It's already there. So that, yeah, that's a use of real-time LUT that I can see being really useful. Other than that, I don't really, I just like to, I hardly ever use LUTs, really. So other than that, I don't really have a use for it. But who knows, in the future, maybe I will have a use for it. Let's look at the chat. Dude, Sony sucks. Yeah, it does. One other thing I don't understand about Sony cameras, well, now some of them do, but they have this cinema line, right? It actually says cinema on the FX3 and FX30. And for the longest time, they did not have shutter angle, which blows my mind, basically, because that's basically one of the first cinema-like features you would think of, right, for a cinema line of cameras. Anyway, I don't shoot Sony. I don't want to shoot Sony. Sony sucks, for now. I hate all those different options. Yeah, that's what I mean. All those different names and sort of, as far as I understand, two sort of settings. You choose S-Log and then you have to choose some profile to go with it or something. I don't fully understand how that works. Even Canon is better. Yeah. Well, my brother has got Canon, what is it? R8. And it looks nice. The footage looks nice. I find it very cumbersome to use. The menu structure and the LCD, the info display is super sort of busy. There's a lot going on. Don't really like it, but the footage looks nice. And let me bring up the comments, by the way. I didn't think of that, which is kind of stupid. Comments. Doesn't seem to want to do that currently. Oh well, no comments on screen then. Sorry. Half the time I ask what color profile a Sony person is shooting, and they say no profile. Yeah, huh? Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah, no profile. What do you mean? No profile. You have to shoot in some profile, right? But yeah, like there's 3 S-logs and like 3 versions of each S-log. Yeah, exactly. It's very very confusing. I don't understand it at all. But yeah, luckily we shoot Lumix, right? I have to take a sip of my drink. All right. Last topic, because I don't have anything more to say about my GH6 currently, because I still have to sort of test it a bit more. So yeah, last topic, my new studio. I am super happy with my new studio, even though it's not entirely finished yet, but I can show you around a little. Well, first I can show you this angle. I am right here in the corner, and my new studio is quite a bit bigger than my old one. My old one was like 2.5 by 1.5 or maybe 2 meters, which you might have to convert into the imperial system, because I can't do that out of the top of my head. And this studio is quite a bit bigger. It's like 6 meters by 7 meters, something like that. So quite a significant upgrade. And this whole space used to be completely uninsulated, no insulation against the roof, because I'm upstairs in my house. This is my house. And the wind would just be blowing through here, basically. And so I tackled that, and I also wanted to, at the same time, make sure that it's very well sound insulated, not soundproofed, because that's something different than sound. I wanted to have a lot of sound absorption against the roof. So what I did was I basically with a spray gun applied polyurethane foam, a layer of 2 to 3, well, like an inch PU foam against it, and then applied a thick layer, 15 centimeter thick layer of glass wool onto it. And then some, what do you call it in English? I think it's plasterboard, or Americans call it drywall, I think. And before I applied the layer of drywall, it was like the sound, like if I would talk in this space, the sound would just disappear instantly. It was like a sound deadening space. And I thought, wow, this is like incredible. I can just leave this space as is and have like a fantastic recording studio, because I also do voiceover work. And then I applied the drywall, and the drywall also absorbs, but mostly lower frequencies, and it reflects higher frequencies. So I applied it, and then the reverberance came back into the room, so that sucked a little. But since then, I've applied, or I've put in some more like fabric kind of stuff into the space to make it less reverberant. And when I record voiceovers, I make myself like a tiny space of thick, basically sound curtains, and that works really well. And I'm planning on producing video podcasts here for businesses or whoever else wants to record a podcast, which is great. And obviously, I've got loads more space for good lighting to make my YouTube videos, more space to make nice B-roll. I just have a lot more space to move around in, which like in my old studio, that was very restrictive. I couldn't do much. So that's great. And I might do like a studio tour talking about my lighting setup, my network setup, my power setup, my mounting setup, all of that. Might do that next year. But yeah, for now, very happy with it. Okay, that's the new studio. Let's see if there are any more comments. Nope. Okay, then I think I'm gonna sign off for the year as well. So that leaves me with wishing you a Merry Christmas and a wonderful 2025. See you next year.